Ever wonder what rock and roll sounded like before it got all polished and arena-sized? Let's travel back to the mid-1960s, a time when teenagers across America, armed with cheap guitars and a whole lot of attitude, this was garage rock. Between 1963 and 1967, thousands of young bands popped up in garages and basements all over North America. They were totally obsessed with the energy of the British invasion bands, like the Kinks and the Yardbirds. But they also drew from the gritty sounds of American R&B and surf rock. What came out was something new and untamed. We're talking about fuzzy, distorted guitars played through cheap amplifiers, super simple but catchy chord progressions, and lyrics that were all about teenage angst frustrations with girls, school, and parents. It was a do-it-yourself movement long before that was even a term. This raw energy is why so many people now call it 60s punk or proto-punk. You might know a few of the big hits from this era, like Louie Louie by the Kingsmen or 96 Tears by and the Mysterians. These songs captured the sound perfectly. Simple, repetitive, and insanely catchy. That maybe only released 1 or 2 singles on a tiny local label before disappearing forever. These bands had names like the Sonics, the Seeds, the Standals, and the Count 5. Their songs were often recorded in a single take, capturing a lightning-in-a-bottle moment of pure teenage rebellion. They weren't trying to be virtuosos. They were trying to make a noise, have fun, and maybe get a gig at the local high school dance. So, how do you even begin to explore a genre made up of so many one-hit wonders and forgotten bands? The answer is compilations. These collections are like treasure maps for garage rock fans. The most important one is called Nuggets, original artifacts from the first psychedelic era. 1965-1968. Compiled by rock critic and future Patti Smith Group guitarist Lenny Kaye back in 1972. This double album was the first to really define garage rock as a genre. It gathered all these amazing, obscure tracks in one place and showed everyone that this wasn't just a bunch of random noise. It was a movement. Listening to Nuggets is like taking a crash course in the foundations of punk and indie rock. If you like your music even more raw and aggressive, you have to check out the Back from the Grave series. This is the stuff that makes Nuggets sound tame. The bands on these records sound like they're about to explode out of your speakers. It's pure, unadulterated punk rock, recorded a decade before punk officially existed. The liner notes are legendary too, filled with hilarious, over-the-top descriptions of the music. Then there are the massive Pebbles and Boulders series, which are like an endless library of rare regional singles, covering everything from garage to early psychedelic sounds. Diving into these is a real adventure. By 1968, the garage rock wave started to fade. Rock music was becoming more complex and serious with the rise of psychedelic concept albums and prog rock. The simple 3-chord stomp of garage rock seemed a bit old-fashioned, but its spirit never died. It went underground and became the blueprint for the punk rock explosion of the 1970s. Bands like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols were basically taking the garage rock formula and cranking up the speed and the anger, and the influence didn't stop there. The garage revival of the 1980s, the indie and alternative rock of the 90s, with bands like the White Stripes and the Hives, all owe a massive debt to those teenagers making a racket in their parents' garages. It's amazing to think how this short-lived DIY movement created a ripple effect that we can still feel in music today. The spirit of picking up a guitar, learning 3 chords, and screaming your heart out is the very essence of rock and roll. And it was perfected in the garages of the 1960s. So what do you think? Are you a fan of garage rock? What are some of your favorite tracks or bands from that era? Let me know in the comments below. We could even dive deeper into specific regional scenes, like the super influential Pacific Northwest sound, or highlights some of the amazing all-female garage bands from that time. Thanks for watching. See you next time.